What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, peeps? We're back for our midweek, I guess, kind of midweek episode, I guess. Maybe just a little bit. We're kind of there. Um, it's it's one thing to have these conversations with people who are legit willing to really like own up to the fact that there are issues to be discussed that go beyond some partisan nature, right? Um, it's a completely different thing to have these discussions with people who just want to box you in as a certain thing because you don't believe in it, right? Like if you think climate change is important, right? Let's just pick a any random thing here. Then paint you as a rabid leftist. You know, like Ted Cruz talking about Thanos was. I was sorry, I wasn't even gonna bring it up, but well, just look at it. Ted Cruz basically compared Thanos to being, a real crazy environmentalist and a leftist. So, but anyway, point is, let me get back, let me get back on track here. Um, if you like guns, then they try to go down the "you want to kill babies" track, right? Like you support school shootings or whatever. Pick it. I don't care what it is. Like there's too much nuance and room for us to fall down the trap of you bad because you believe one thing, right? Now, of course, there are certain things that are legit like bad things, right? Like we can agree. One of those things being, what happened with the FBI today, which we're going to talk about in a moment. There are certain things that are legit bad. In the case with the FBI, it was they were issuing a warrant related to like, well, the warrant was violent crimes against children. So like if you're doing kiddie porn, you're molesting kids or encouraging that kind of thing. Like I mean, yeah, that's a one thing, right? That it's like I don't need to know anything else about you. You're not a good person, right? To put it mildly. So I understand that aspect, but when it comes to some of these discussions, it's like you have to have more depth than you know, like caveman mentality, like you disagree, you bad. And that's the way I see a lot of the people who I'm dealing with now on the right when it comes to a lot of these topics. But it's it's funny to me because depending on where I am, I tend to get articles or posts or memes or whatever about certain topics. Those topics tend to be from a certain lean, right? So if I'm on Facebook, I'm here in Texas. I have a lot of Texas friends, right? Because I live in Texas. A bunch of Texas family, right? Just leans a little conservative. So what do you think I see a lot of? A lot of Democrat hate, leftist hate, pro Trump, all this sort of stuff, right? So when you see me posting, things on Facebook, you'll see me kind of going after the right? Because I'm dealing with the right. When I'm on Twitter, it's a different thing, right? Because you'll see me arguing about taxes being an issue with some of my friends who are on the left. And, like taxes or I've had debates about, Kamala Harris and, like it depends on the media, the content that I'm seeing, how my conversations go on certain platforms, right? So it's not. is not new to me. Back in the day when I used to debate people about Flash versus Microsoft's version of Flash, which was called Silverlight, it was the same thing. You find me on a forum, debating against Silverlight people, and they will be bashing Flash. So it looks like I'm, pro Flash. Was at the time I was, but when I'm on a Flash thread and people are bashing Silverlight, it's like, whoa, 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 but actually that's not true about Silverlight, right? Like Silverlight can do these things that you're saying, So to me, it's always kind of been that way with me where I'm malleable in terms of being able to not just like because I believe in one thing, have to bash something else, right? Again, I live in Texas. I hunt. I got guns, right? But if I tell people that I have guns and I support the Second Amendment, they think I'm going to go all the way into we should be able to own submachine guns and 50 cals and tanks if we wanted to have a tank in our backyard. And that's just not my position, right? And I don't even know, like, to be honest, I don't even know how I'm on this rant right now, but it's funny to me that people try to lump you in these conversations. And so, well, I do know why I'm on the rant. The main point is there's nuance, right? In a lot of these cases, there's nuance. So before you jump into a debate with somebody, or you're just having a conversation, right? Everything don't have to be an argument. Before you have the open mind to come in and not be a bull in a china shop and be like, oh, you are going to take my version of the facts and you're going to like them. So along those lines, the debate I'm talking about was with a gentleman. I have no idea who he is. He just jumped on my cousin's thread and started telling me how ignorant I was because I'm against the Keystone Pipeline and like just a bunch of leaps. And I'm not going to go down that debate. But what I'm leading to is the fact that on next Tuesday, we'll have an interview with Hannah Cox. Weird segue, right? But Hannah Cox, if you don't know her, is libertarian. She's pretty amazing. She has a podcast called Based, and she's rolling it out. She's also writes at fee.org. I actually mentioned her, I don't know, maybe 4 episodes ago, something like that, because she had a great article out. And we're going to be digging into some of these concepts in regards to government overreach, specifically in the vein of like eminent domain and just drugs. All like there's I don't know. I feel like I'm about to go on a long rant on what's supposed to be an intro, but anyway, tune in next week because it's going to be exciting to have that conversation because I love the way she thinks, and I'm just super excited about being able to interview her and actually dig into some of these things. It's another one of those things. Libertarianism. People tend to take like libertarianism as, it's this racist party that's this, but there's also these other sides that people like. There's all this nuance in these parties, and I'm just really looking forward to somebody that's staunchly in that libertarian swing to come on and have that conversation. So next Tuesday, 7 p.m., hit subscribe down here, and join us. Jump in the chat if you have any questions. You can definitely ping us at PFA Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook if you have any questions that you would like asked next Tuesday. We'll get it in. Sunday, I just realized today, that's Super Bowl Sunday. We're still going to do an episode, though. But it may be a little shorter because I got some wings to get to. Or we may end up, I may end up pre-recording it. So looking forward to it, though. I'm really excited about Sunday. I think it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs pulling it out again. I hope so. I really hope so. because look, man, all of y'all out here on the Brady bandwagon, y'all just get on my nerve. And I just want I want Mahomes to win. I thought they would win anyway. But it's time to go ahead and change the guard. Like I don't want to have to hear y'all if Brady win again. I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I'm selfish. I don't want to hear it. I don't want Brady to win because I don't want to hear y'all for another year on and on and on about Brady, 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 Brady. So we'll see what happens. Please, Patrick. All right. So, not a laughing matter. The FBI went to serve a warrant in Florida this weekend, or excuse me, today, not this weekend. And 2 FBI agents were killed, 3 were shot. Here's an article from Axios. The FBI says 2 agents killed while serving warrant in Florida. This is about Oriana Gonzalez and Ursula, I guess, Porano. I don't ever read the authors, but I think I'll start adding that in just to give them a shout out here. So the article states 2 FBI agents were fatally shot on Tuesday, and 3 were wounded while serving a warrant in a violent crimes against children case in Sunrise, Florida. The FBI has identified the fallen agents as Special Agent Daniel Alfin and Special Agent Laura Schwarzenberger. The alleged gunman, who appeared to be barricading in an apartment complex during the event, is also dead. 2 of the wounded agents have been transported to the hospital and are in stable condition. Sorry, looked down and lost my place. The third did not require hospitalization. Acting Attorney General Monty Wilkinson was briefed on the situation this morning. The case and is monitoring the case, a source told the AP. I'm reading horribly today. It's only Tuesday, and I'm reading horribly. It's like it's a Monday. Police tweeted at around 9 a.m. asking residents to stay home due to an ongoing investigation. The FBI Director, Christopher Wray, wrote in a statement, "Every day, FBI agents put themselves in harm's way to keep American people safe. Special Agent Alfin and Schwarzenberger exemplified heroism today in defense of their country. The FBI will honor their ultimate sacrifice and will be forever grateful for their bravery." Heavy. It's heavy. I was watching this earlier. I was watching Mad Money, and then Shep Smith came on right afterwards, and they kind of led off with this and a few details that aren't in here. This is what I meant earlier about the child porn, because this is supposedly one of the biggest child porn rings that is operating right now, and they were serving the warrant. What the word is right now, according to what they were saying on Shep Smith, the word is that he had like a ring or a Nest doorbell or something, and he could see the FBI coming. And when they came to the door, he just opened up fire with an automatic weapon of some sort. They didn't specify what kind, but they stated it was automatic, and he just started spraying. And that's how 2 of the officers were hit in the hail of gunfire, and then the other 3 were hit as well. And of course, the 2, as I mentioned, passing away. They say the gunman was killed in the exchange. I mean, you never know with these sort of things. You could imagine if he's killing cops, they walk in, even if he surrendered, they may go ahead, even if he surrendered, take him out. And in this case, it's one of those things where to complain, aside from family and loved ones of the individual that was killed. But I think it's universal that kiddie porn and those who hurt kids and in really any way, shape, or form, those people tend to not have much sympathy, whether it's out here in the streets or it's in jail. They don't get much sympathy. And so, just prayers for the families, man. That's tough. They said it was the worst day in FBI or in recent FBI history since I think 1986, which happened in, I believe it was Miami. They said 2 agents were killed or something to that effect. So it's a very solemn day. It was a little emotional watching the cars of cops riding behind the ambulance. And like this is another one of those discussions and points where people will they'll really dehumanize officers, no matter if it's like police or FBI, whatever, officers of the law in whatever you know phase, local or federal. Um, Man, these are people, and those are human bodies, right? And like Schwarzenberger, she has a family, and Alpha, he has a family, right? And I mean like husband, wife, kids, that kind of thing, right? And like just the reverberations of how that impacts them, those officers that are around them that knew them. Like, man, it's sad. It's just sad. There's no other way around it, and um, there's not enough hatred in my heart to ever look at a situation like that and feel nothing, less than sad about what the families are having to deal with, and you know, just what they have to put up with, uh, just from an emotional standpoint, and even the agency, like those other officers that are there, they put themselves in harm's way for us, and it's like with the military, like military coming home from Vietnam after, you know, out there seeing their friends killed, some of them being hit and shot as well, and having to come home and being yelled at, right? Like that sort of thing. Like there's a certain level of respect for certain things that people do, um, at certain rungs of the ladder, when they put their lives on the line, that they just get respect from me. Like there's no way around it for me. So prayers to the family. I hope they're able to, find some peace in the future. I know it may take a while, but I hope they're able to find some peace, and be able to, you know, be able to smile again one day in the future. It may be a while. Um, so, all right, solemn way to transition, but transitioning to just another update, and we will come back to the FBI story as we get more information about it and some more things come out. We'll come back to it. All right, so an update. Sunday, we talked a lot about the Robinhood investors and all this sort of stuff. So this article here from Axios is the Robinhood investors unfazed by potential regulations. So one thing that we talked about on Sunday, go back, check that episode, and remember, we got clips coming out. We got Al on the video editing happening, and so I'm really excited about the work that he's been doing. So we're gonna start posting those clips this week. I'm gonna start dropping those clips, maybe every other day, drop a few a week, something to that effect. So we're gonna start doing that so you can get just the segments of information that we're talking about in smaller bite, little more bite size clips there. So on Sunday, one thing we talked about with Robinhood, and this is actually before I go there, one point that I forgot to make on Sunday was I had highlighted that the guy Deep Effing Value, the guy that kind of, I guess you could say, is the godfather of this craze. He had invested 745,000 in GameStop, and so one of the points I wanted to make, and I've forgotten to. It's always when I go off the air, I'm like, oh, I forgot. I need to make that point. One of the points I forgot to make was he invested 745,000. So the idea that this is 100% the poor versus the rich. Now, mind you, that was 745 over a year and a half, I believe it was, that he was investing. Um, at least maybe 15 months, something to that effect. So it wasn't just him. Like we've seen, like there's been quite a few people who have come out and said that they've invested, they jumped on the craze, and they weren't poor. right? And if you got 745 to invest in Robinhood, I mean, excuse me, in GameStop, yeah, you're not poor. You know, now he's definitely not poor right now because he's even though the stock dropped, it's at 90 now, so he's probably only about 10 million up. I mean, 10 million. I mean, anyway, um, so he's still up because he started when it was like at 10 or 15 or 20 or something. He's just been dollar cost averaging the entire time. Just basically buy some every day, every week, whatever, at a certain interval, and then it kind of averages out your price that you pay for it. So anyway, it's just one thing to understand when looking at these things, is that these things happen in a way that catches people who don't have those kind of resources, right? So I've been on Reddit for years, but I've been on Reddit more in this last 2 weeks than I've been on Reddit in years. So I've been following and watching, and Mark Cuban came on Reddit and did an AMA, which was great. Like he was just, AMA asked me anything, so he was just answering questions, and it was great. Like a lot of great questions, great answers. I read, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them, and it was pretty good stuff. But the thing about the Reddit craze is that they're on there saying like diamond hands, like we're not selling, we're holding forever. Robinhood is still limiting buying. Now the stock dropped up to like 70%, and I think the exchanges like the Nasdaq or whatever they ended up halting trading. But Robinhood never stepped in and said, "Whoa, we're going to stop the selling so that our retail investors can continue to buy at this price." They never said that, right? But when it was going through the roof, they're like, "Oh, we got to stop." Now, granted, there were liquidity issues that they had, so it wasn't just Robinhood bending to the will of the rich. But we're about to find out because there's potentially going to be some regulations coming from this. Liz Warren, dog with a bone, she's ready to go after them and find out what ties they have and why this hood investors unfazed by potential regulations by Dan Primack. I don't know. I'm just going to have to start Googling these authors before we get on the show so I can stop sounding like a used to come under pressure from power users and politicians. But its investors are doubling, tripling, and maybe even quadrupling down. The stock trading app yesterday announced 2.4 billion in new funding from existing backers, on top of the 1 billion it secured last Friday. From the outside, Robinhood seemed to be on fire. Days of sloppy messaging and stubborn reticence to explain that its West Coast executives were awakened at around 3 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday morning with a word that the company would need to put up around a $3 billion deposit to open full trading, an amount the company either couldn't afford or that its compliance team wouldn't let it risk. But from the inside, Robinhood investors believe the company pulled off a miracle. Things were indeed frantic, particularly in the early hours of negotiation with clearinghouse number crunchers. But investors argue the app kept working under unprecedented usage. Let me just pause right there, right? People don't, unless you are in this tech game, you don't understand what it's like when you're on the other side of the servers down. Like, and especially if it's happening at the end of a week or on a weekend, that's a dreaded call, especially in a scenario like a Robinhood that's like a massive application that is used by millions of people these days. It's expected to have 100% uptime, right? Like, would you be mad if Robinhood was down for 15 minutes every single day? Or would you be okay with them? Excuse me. If it was during the time period that you normally use it, like let's say your lunchtime, 12 p.m., whatever, you would be mad. Like, man, every day this thing it's janky, right? You'll be mad. You wouldn't like to use it. But only 15 minutes out of an entire week out of an entire day is not really that bad. But your expectations Okay, I'm trying to not to go too far on a rant here. The techie coming out at me. Your expectations are that applications never, ever, ever crash or fail. That's what your expectations are. So it's like we have to be perfect. I'm gonna stop ranting. That's the techie in me just coming out and defending these tech platforms. But if you could imagine, Robinhood, I believe I saw the numbers were like over 3 million new accounts or something like that that they've had in recent time. I don't recall how recent of time though. That is massive load. People are going through the process of entering a trade, which will probably trigger so many other things inside of the system that says, now go do something else, right? Notify the clearinghouse or whatever they got to do. I don't know. I've never built a trading app. But it has to do all these other things behind the scenes. Calculate this, move this, subtract from your balance, do all this other stuff. It has to do all these steps. So it's not just put one row in the database. Like there's other things that have to happen, right? Has to actually send it off and say this person now owns this individual share or shares. So it's very impressive, just from a nerd. I'll just leave it at that. From a nerd, it's very impressive. Uh, but so we kind of know from Sunday what happened, what they did, and it basically this article's kind of going on, and they're kind of just saying basically like it's easy to burp on the CEO. That was my bad version of a bleep out of a cuss word. For how he said things on a TV interview, but behind the scenes, he and everyone else really delivered. That was from one investor. Another investor added, I really believe everyone was trying to do the right thing under unprecedented circumstances. The question for investors was if they'd earned the right to be around the next day. And obviously we felt the answer was yes. So definitely get it was unprecedented. But let me just state unequivocally that this is a complete failure of messaging. They chose the absolute wrong messaging. And I don't even know what the numbers are. Pretty sure we'll find out soon enough. But they are likely hemorrhaging users. Memes go out about Robin Hood being Robin you is, all these other. Anyway, they have a bad name now. They've gotten a ton of negative press. Yeah, they'll have a lot of people who are loyal. It's fine, right? I didn't close out my account. I still have some there, even though I am moving them away. But messaging, they blew it. They could have just came out and they could have just said, "Hey guys, look, you guys have drained us to a point to where we have to go get some more liquidity here." And I bet they would have been just still the darlings of the retail investor. But they kind of blew it. They kind of blew it. So I never want to see a platform really fail because they mess up once in that way. So I hope they can turn it around. I really do. So before we jump into the meat of it, one more tech one that I saw that was interesting to me. Tech giants open up about their algorithms. This is by Sarah Fisher, Margaret Harding, and Margaret Harding McGill. Excuse me. Call it an air pocket in my throat or something. All right, so Google, Facebook, TikTok, and others are starting to talk more about how their algorithms work in a bid to win trust. Yes, but it's hard to know what isn't being revealed. Google on Monday published a blog post that shows users how to access more information about their search results the day ahead of its Q4 earnings report. Facebook similarly released a post on how the newsfeed algorithm works day before its Q4 earnings. Threat of a ban from the Trump admin who walked Axios and other reporters through the extensive presentation of how its prized algorithms work. Now, algorithm, you hear this stuff all the time. What's an algorithm, right? You think what, like X plus Y equals Z sort of thing, right? And it kind of, in the simplistic terms, yeah, that's kind of kind of the idea. But what the algorithm does, and for Google it's called PageRank, it basically has a way, and specifically of PageRank, and pretty much any of these, they're all along the same lines, right? Like you have some content, you need a way to filter through it and provide the user with relevant results, right? No matter if it's TikTok videos, Facebook newsfeed, Google searches, it doesn't matter. You have to have something there, right? If you had the the old days, back when it was like Alta Vista and all these other search engines, you weren't getting as relevant of results as Google. Google came up with an idea that said, hey, you know what? Let's rank the internet. Lofty idea. But they basically have all these rules. Not going to go into them. If you want to hear the tech part of what search engine optimization is, go to catapult.co. We're going to have a podcast. Well, don't go right now because it's not there yet. But we're going to have a podcast that's going to be coming out in coming weeks. This turned into an advertisement. Didn't mean to. But what it's going to do is basically we're going to talk through a lot of these tech topics. And so it'll be a new podcast that's coming out. But you can find us on YouTube and all that sort of stuff. So we'll talk more about that. But the point is, Google decided we're going to rank the internet. All these search engine optimization tips are out there. Companies exist to provide this service and whatnot. And so that PageRank algorithm it's really like their bread and butter. There were calls from, I believe Trump actually did it as well. There were a lot of calls from Republicans saying that Google has to give up, their algorithm. We have to know what's going on. We have to know how this ranking is happening and blah, 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 blah. And so it's pretty interesting that they decided to come out and kind of give a feature to kind of give a little bit more details on it. And they think this is actually, you know what? In the article, they mention it right here. Right here between the lines, Republicans and Democrats have both cited transparency into content moderation as goals of the Section 230 of goal changes moderation as a goal of changes to Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Now, you can go watch our PFA minutes. I walk through some of the Section 230 stuff on there. I won't repeat all of that here. But now you have Democrats that are alleging the algorithms are radicalizing people. So you have the left and the right both coming out and going after these companies saying, hey, you're radicalizing. When the point of it is, if you go into an incognito window and you don't have any sign in or anything, they're just going to give you raw results. If you go in and you sign in as somebody, they're going to give you contextual results. And yeah, sure. If you're out here in the QAnon space and you're doing a bunch of searching across QAnon and you're not blocking your browser by using something like DuckDuckGo or whatever to do your searches, then yeah, it's going to give you more content related to your typical searches. So of course, you can be radicalized from that. Doesn't matter. If you're looking for hate speech and that's what you've been looking for, you can find it. They'll show you more, right? That's the way, in my opinion, it should work. Because on the flip side, you either are going to start censoring the internet, which I'm not a fan of, to an extent. There is some censorship that needs to happen. Go back to the first section when we were talking about kiddie porn. You're either going to start censoring the internet from what people think is acceptable speech, or there's going to be no contextual relevance. So it's interesting that they're doing this. We'll see how far it goes. To be honest, I hope the government just stays out of it. Stays out of it. Don't bother with it. One quick point, and then we're going to get to the big section here. Actually, two quick articles. I'm not going to read through this one, but Jeff Bezos stepping down as Amazon CEO. That's big news. I guess the CEO. Let me see if they actually mention it here. Andy Jassy. So yeah, not CEO. I couldn't remember his title, but he runs the Amazon Web Services part of Amazon. Amazon Web Services is where a lot of companies deploy their websites and services and everything else. It's amazing. It started as a long shot and now it's number one in a big way. So Jassy taking over Amazon when they just posted, I don't know, something like 250 billion or 25 billion or something in net revenue or something um, for Amazon as a whole. I think Jassy will do a fine job. I don't know what Bezos is going to do next, but we'll see. All right, so this kind of goes back to the original rant that we were talking about at the beginning when it comes to how things are kind of seen and how they're parsed from your political view. And this is going to kind of cross over two or three topics. We'll see. We'll kind of see how it goes. But we came two or three episodes ago, and I came on here and I told you, hey, you're about to see a bunch of hypocrisy. It's about to land. I can promise you when it comes to this impeachment. It's going to land. And less than a day or two later, Lindsey Graham comes out and he states that they want witnesses, something they didn't want before. But now they want witnesses. And so in the last impeachment, circa 2020, they just kind of went left, completely left about witnesses. They didn't care about witnesses. Don't want them. Now they want witnesses. Now they're saying in this impeachment defense, this is impeachment managers call Trump singularly responsible for Capitol riots. This is Ursula Perano. The impeachment managers, obviously, they're Democrats. So now in the discussion of what you have is people who would normally hold somebody's feet to the fire because, I mean, hey, law and order, right? I mean, I was told the Republicans meant law and order, and the leftists, the Democrats, they don't want law and order. They want chaos, right? Anti-cop, defund the police, right? They don't want law and order, right? But now they don't want any law and order, and what they're trying to do is basically what they're doing now is arguing over whether or not Trump has any responsibility for the siege on the Capitol that happened on January the 6th. 45 Republicans, including Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, supported an effort to dismiss his trial earlier this month, arguing it would be unconstitutional to convict a former president. Now, he was impeached while president. The trial, which happens after impeachment, is coming after his presidency, which was my argument from the beginning of this whole thing was you can impeach him, sure, that'll happen quickly, but the trial is going to take longer. And here we are. We're in February, still don't have the trial starting. It's going to start on February the 9th, as the article states here. But that's the argument that they're basically saying. Now, the House managers, which are the Democrats, are rebutting this, and they're saying the Constitution governs the first day of the president's term, the last day, and every moment in between. Presidents do not get a free pass to commit high crimes and misdemeanors near the end of the term. Now, this is the test that I always, when I'm talking to my kids or anybody, I tell them, flip the sides. If Biden had done what Trump did and you're a Trumper, would you want Biden impeached? Would you want a Senate trial? Would you come out and say that Biden's out of office, we need to unite? We have to come together. Now, they could have been making all of these claims November the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, all the way up to January the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and even on the 6th. But none of these people who were saying, leave it alone, let's unite, were saying any of that on any of those days. They let all of this stuff happen with the stop the steal and all that mess. They let all that stuff happen. And in letting that stuff happen, January 6th was the result. Now, in terms of this trial, my prediction. This is not a hard one to deal with, to be honest. What the Republicans are trying to do, save a little face, because hey, they got to get reelected. A lot of them, they don't want to deal with Trump anymore. They know he's toxic. He's no longer an asset to the party. So, yeah, they would throw him under a bus in a minute if it didn't mean they would have to go back and look at their constituents in their face who may or may not be Trump supporters. Heck, in Ohio, they're talking about making a President Trump Day. Imagine any senator from Ohio, I don't care what year you pick, any senator that is a Republican that had a president blah blah day, whatever term they were related to, that has to vote on the conviction of that person, you can almost guarantee they're not getting reelected if they vote yes. This is state of play. To maintain power, they will go against their morals. It's almost unequivocal that they will do that. There's very few that won't. There was, if you check Thomas Massey on Twitter, Thomas Massey got a lot of flack last year. A lot of flack from Trump and fellow Republicans because of how he wasn't just going to, toe the line, right? Now, Massey has a good constituency, right? They kind of understand what's going on. Massey's pretty level-headed. Now, you may not agree with him because he's on the right. Right? I would probably say he's libertarian, but he's conservative in his lean. And he got a bunch of flack, right? But then whenever he's, talking about COVID or something else, and he's saying that there's this foul stuff that's happened on COVID, he's probably getting a bunch of flack from the left, right? That's a very difficult position to be in if you're trying to retain power. And the constitution of these cats that are in here, man, they ain't got it like that. They just don't. They're trying to retain power, and it stops right there. It's just at the power. So, now, yeah, as it says in the chat, Andre says, better yet, if Obama was in office. So at the end of Obama's term, if they impeached Obama in the last few weeks of his term, or the last week or two, would you want them to go through the trial? Just flip it. I do that all the time with the kids. When my daughter and I, we have these conversations a lot. And if she says something and she's, especially if it's something race related, I'd say, well, how would you like it if that was, black people? Or if it was about black people, or whatever the case may be. And it's really made her have to think and really like, well, is that okay? Right? These are just things over years that we've done. We've had these conversations because it's important that you're able to really understand the totality of the situation. Now, again, my thoughts on what's going to happen here. They're going to push this trial out. They're going to try to say that Trump didn't do it. It's not Trump's fault. The left is going to say it's completely Trump's fault, and he's going to he's not going to get convicted when it boils down to it. I just don't believe they're going to be able to muster enough people for a conviction. After the trial is over, they're going to censure him. That is going to basically have as a part of it that he can no longer run for office again. I'm pretty sure that's the way this is going to play out. Now, in terms of whether or not he is actually responsible, well, heck yeah, he's responsible. If you throw a party at your house and everybody at your party ransacks all the houses around you, who's going to be at fault? Again, take the politics out of it. Take your party partisanship out of it. He threw an entire mini rally. They, like his campaign and those cats, they put up the money for it. They paid for it. They advertised it. He told them, come to Washington on January 6th. He completely was behind this whole thing. His son, his attorney, and another senator, or either maybe he was an ex-senator, got up there and incited violence. He got up there and he did not say, don't listen to them. That's not what we're doing. None of that. He wanted to see it. When they started calling for the National Guard, he didn't say, "Yeah, no, let's hurry up. Let's get some more police in here." No. He sat back and just kind of watched. So he definitely has culpability here. Definitely. He put on the event and then he didn't provide the resources to help. It's a foregone conclusion for me. Now, whether or not they convict, I just don't think they will, because I don't think they really, really, truly want to get to the bottom of the facts here. It's all about partisan gamesmanship and retaining power. On the partisan thing, I said this was going to have a couple points to it here. Been a bit rantish. I'm gonna rant a little bit more. Presidential executive orders are nothing but lip service. That's all they are. It's lip service. Until we see an outright, complete, like law in place, it's lip service. Now, they can cause damage. They can do good, right? But they're lip service, because what's going to happen? The next person's going to come in, and what are they going to do? Going to erase all the other guy's stuff. Next person comes in, what are they going to do? Going to erase the other person's. This is going to keep going. Biden is signing executive orders left and right. We're, that's 10 days in, 11 days in or so. He signed 25 of them. Don't go over there. He's just letting them go. He's letting them go. But to me, they're lip service. I don't care how many executive orders you sign. Until you can push through some legislation that is completely legit and sound, all that's going to happen is the next person, the only thing that's going to happen is next time opposition gets in is they're going to erase them. It just is what it is. Now, the partisanship of this comes in because what you're seeing is the right talk about all these executive orders. There was literally an article I saw that said, is President Biden a dictator? What? What? Like, that's what we're doing now. So we sat here, and here are the numbers. We sat here and we watched Donald Trump in 4 years, and even in his last 20 days, write 220 total executive orders. Obama wrote 276 in 8 years. He did 220 in 4. What? So you're on the right and you're telling me that you're now considering like even forming your lips to ask if Biden is a dictator because he wrote 25 in a week. Now, Biden, he may come out and blow out Donald Trump's numbers. He may completely obliterate. He may. We don't know yet. We'll find out. But for anybody to sit here and whine and complain about Biden and executive orders that didn't have an issue with Trump writing executive orders, or didn't have an issue, or did have an issue with Obama in these executive orders, you're a hypocrite. Let's just be frank. You're a hypocrite. On the flip, if you had all these massive issues with Trump using executive orders and none with Biden, you're a hypocrite. Sorry to tell you, but you are. Now, I'm not talking about the actual content of the executive order. I'm talking about the action of using executive orders. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, if you just look at these numbers, Clinton 254, Bush say, nah, I got you, 291, Obama 276, Trump 220 in 4 years. I mean, you can't understate that. And of course, Biden only has 25 so far. These presidents, man, like this is what they do. But there's a point to this that you have to pay attention to, right? Some of these executive orders are nothing. Like they're nothing. Some of them literally are nothing. So I remember people got really mad when Trump signed one of his executive orders in 2017 because there's an executive order that's I'll see if I can find it, but it's basically an executive order that says something about there being like a recognizing themselves sort of day or something like that. I don't remember what it's called, but it's nothing. It does nothing. It has no impact. Zero. None. Got the presidential, legislative, and the judicial. They got to go through the branches. He can't just by fiat just decide I'm changing everything. Oh, I'm just going to change the laws. He can't do it, right? There's certain things that have to go through the process. So on one hand, you have these executive orders that do absolutely nothing. They're completely innocuous. They have no bearing on your life whatsoever. And then there are some that do. The biggest ones that you probably remember with Trump were the Muslim ban. That was a very big one. That are amendments to other executive orders. So it counts as an executive order because it is. But depending on what that other one is, it could be innocuous too, right? There's all these things that are largely just presidential decrees. Sometimes it's things like sanctions, right? They're sanctioning, like Trump sanctioned Venezuela, right? There's sanctions, right? There's sanctions for North Korea, right? There's all these sanctions, right? Those are executive orders, right? So it doesn't mean that they're dictators in that sense. Some of them are going to happen. Go back through time. They're going to happen. They're getting worse. And they're going to continue to get worse, in my opinion. So the idea that Biden is a dictator, to me, it's just laughable. Because you have to look at some of what the executive orders actually are and the content of them, right? So if you have issue with the content of what Biden is signing, okay, let's talk about the content of what he's doing. But if you're not talking about the content, you're looking purely at the numbers, yeah, you can miss me with all that because it's too surface. You're not even really caring what's going on. You're just looking for a narrative. You just want to complain, right? That's all you want to do. And if you're not complaining about 220 in 4 years and 14 in January when he was only in office for 20 days, come on. And even Obama, he had like 7 or something in his last 20 days. Bush had 5. Here, I'll bring this back up. Bush had 5 in his last 20 days. And then Clinton had 12 in his last 20. Man, I mean, look, man, this is, I'm not saying that you accept presidents trying to rule by executive order. I'm just telling you, it's lip service. That's all it is. So you can always see the executive orders are out. Actually, you know what? I didn't mention the site that I'm showing here, this is the Federal Register. So you can go to the Federal Register and you can actually view all of this stuff. All of this stuff is public. You can view all the details and all the information, right? So looking at some of Biden's executive orders, this is from the whitehouse.gov site. Some of these executive orders aren't really doing anything. They're just not. Memorandum for protecting women's health at home. It's a memo, right? Executive order on strengthening Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Memorandum on restoring trust in government through scientific integrity and evidence-based policy making, excuse me. Like, you can go into here and you can actually read it. I'm sorry. Newsflash. You can read. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. I had to lean back and yell so I wasn't all loud in your ear. You can read this stuff. It's here for you. Read it. Find out. Do I really agree with this? Do I not? Do I like it? Do I not like it? Right? Like, this executive order has nothing about ruling. The only thing this executive order is doing is saying, hey, here's a memo that I would like you to basically form a task force, and I want to have some answers in 120 days. It's a memo. Any business owner, you wrote a memo or a Slack message. That's pretty much what this is. Right? So I'm not for, I'll restate one more time, unequivocally, I believe these executive orders, for the most part, are just presidential lip service. Y'all weren't out here tripping when Trump was out here opening up books with his signature, giving us some of the best memes that the internet has ever brought about. If you weren't tripping over that, then hush. Sit down somewhere. Go on, sit down somewhere. Get out the limelight, because you're just being partisan and you don't even care about this stuff. You just want to argue. That's it. You just want to argue. You want to be mad because your guy is a dud, a complete and utter dud. The dude wrote 220. I don't want to hear nobody else say anything else about executive orders and overreach. If your dude wrote 220 in 4 years, no other president in recent years, let me say that, because I didn't go back all the way through time. That could be wrong. In the recent years, since 1994, none of those presidents eclipsed 300. This dude was on pace for 400 plus. Come on, man. He wrote 69 executive orders last year. I don't know. I mean, why do I keep coming here every week to complain about partisanship? I don't know. I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess. I just can't get enough of complaining about partisanship. You know, it is what it is, though, man. Like, either you are or you aren't going to support these parties. Every week, I'm going to keep coming at you every week, hollering at you. Stay tuned as we continue to advance this channel, because, I mean, look, it's a dead horse. I'm going to keep beating that dead horse with a stick. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going, because it's too important to just ignore what these parties are doing. You got to pay attention to what these parties are doing, man. Like, there's no way around it. You have to pay attention. These parties are not here for us. They don't care about us. They want to hold power. That's it. They want to hold power. So as long as they want to hold power and that's all they're doing, I'm going to be here and I'm going to be fighting against it. Because it all starts in the mind. It's all where it starts. One tip to close out. Be careful. I don't care what you're dealing with. Stock market, crypto, doesn't matter. You have to be careful, because there are plenty of pump and dump schemes. And we just saw it happen with XRP. A lot of people are saying the GameStop stuff is pump and dump. It may turn out to be, I don't know. I don't think so. But what happened with XRP real briefly is one morning it went from 40 cents or 30 something cents a coin to 79 cents or almost 80 something cents. And then like within a couple hours, it was down to 40. What happened was people bought in and built it up to like 30 something cents. And then they got word out that, oh, Reddit's about to pump this coin. And so people really started like digging in, and they were saying, hey, we want to be in on this. And so people saw it going up. Oh, it's at 50? Buying in. The people that got in at 30, 20, whatever, they waited for it to reach peak. And once they saw the buying volume kind of slowing, sell. So they went from 30 to 70. They more than doubled 2-3x whatever, wherever they got in, 2 or 3x their money. And then they left you holding the bag with XRP coins that were worth 70 something cents per coin. And they took their money off the table. Be careful. Same stuff happens in stocks all the time. Just watch CNBC. They're going to be on there telling you about all these stocks. Buy. And, stocks go up, and then you see them just drop off. So just be careful out there. Be careful on what you're paying attention to. That FOMO, that fear of missing out, is real. It's completely psychological, but it's real. So just be careful out there. Don't go out there letting people sell you these wooden nickels. Stay tuned. We have our YouTube clips coming out. Catch us at politicalfreeagents.com. You can go to the YouTube link, hit the like, hit the subscribe down there. Hey, and also just take a few minutes, rate us and review us on the on your app store, so that way, or the podcast, so that way it can help push us up in the ranks. Remember, next Tuesday, 7 p.m., we have Hannah Cox coming on the show, and you can catch us for our Super Bowl special. It's not gonna be a special. I'm gonna come on here and complain about left and right politics. But either way, join us Sunday, 2 p.m.